Hello everyone, this is Shokora Zouheikyoku, aka chocomint, and welcome back to our let's play of a new game, Meeting in the Flesh. This is another series I will play for the spooky season of Halloween of the month around September, October, and maybe November, since I'm not sure if this series will be uploaded or live on YouTube at the right time. Maybe a little bit after November, perhaps, if we're a bit late, but it's around that time. Fair warning for this game, it is a horror romance game. So technically there is romance in it, but the horror aspect in this game is really real, and in which it contains PG-13 scenes of romance and kind of body horror. I'm not sure how much body horror that is, but it is a fair warning. And anyone who is uncomfortable with these spooky things, please go ahead and try other series that I was playing for the season. That is much lighter than this. But if you're someone who is interested in romances with monstrous suitors, then go ahead. Let's start. As I mentioned before, you can see the warning. Thank you for downloading. Before we start, this game features text descriptions and non-explicit visual descriptions of blood, gore, torture, war, cannibalism, the deed, hand-holding, which is quite lewd. By continuing, you agree to do so at your own risk. Meeting in the Flesh. Gotcha! After years of waking up at the same time every day, I've grown far too accustomed to it. I'm awake even before my alarm bell goes off. The air outside must still be cold from the rain last night. The room feels a little chilly, and there's the strong compulsion to stay coiled up in my blanket. My bed is incessantly warm after all, so I decide to remain still until it's absolutely necessary for me to rise. Keeping my eyes closed, I wonder what to wear today. The weather today is supposed to be cloudy. Wearing an extra cloak might not be a bad idea, just one of the lighter ones. The alarm bell starts chirping, and I lay a hand on it even before its first drill is over, gently silencing it. I cracked my eyes open to squint at the light gently filtering into my room. Get up or one more minute? Maybe we should get out, since I'm also a kind of a morning person, so sometimes the early bird gets the worm, you know. I better get up. Alright, let's get going. I crawl out of bed and begin my usual morning routine. This becomes such a deeply ingrained habit that I hardly need to think about what I'm doing. I splash my face with water first, and wipe off any burrs that accumulated overnight. Towering my face off, I return to open the windows and air out the place. The atmosphere outside is crisp from last night's rain. The ground's still a little moist, and there's a pleasant miasma that stings at the nose. Poking my head out the window, I take a few deep breaths to chase up the last tendrils of sleep before withdrawing back inside and making my bed. I find my way to my table to retrieve my usual breakfast, a block of salt and a cup of water. Some people go without eating in the morning, or only drink water, but I found it hard to last the morning without some salt. The crystals crunch between my teeth as I look for a cloak of appropriate thickness. The cloak I'm looking for turns out to be abandoned in a corner, and I swallow my mouthful of salt as I pour it on. The soap burns down the full length on my throat, and I wash it down with water. That done, I smooth my hands down the front of my cloak to brush up any stray salt crystals, and to make sure there aren't any unsightly wrinkles. I want to look presentable. Even if I'm just a delivery agent, I still want to look good for my clients. My entire routine doesn't take more than 15 minutes. I've streamlined it well over the years. I glance outside as I close my window. The streets outside are still mostly quiet, with only a few people bustling about. The owner of the corner store is quietly sweeping the streets. The rhythmic splash of brush bristles against the damp dirt, echoing down the block. A few crows linger on a nearby roof, muttering to themselves. They seem a bit more excited than usual. My room falls quiet when I close the window. As I leave, I lock the door and jostle it 1, 2, 3 times to make sure it's secure. Then I head down the street. The crows bellowed at me when I walk past them, and I glance up to give them a smile. They remember people's face, so it's best to stay on the good side if possible. Past them, the sky is a deeper green than it usually is. I squint and shield my eyes as I look up at the suns. That's right. I've forgotten. The eclipse is in 2 days. The primary sun looms largest overhead, but the smaller brothers don't lag far behind, the three forming a loop-sided triangle. The moon lingers lower down, closer to the horizon, like a bell paper cutout laid against the sky. It's normal for them to be scattered like this, but in 2 days, for just a few moments, they were all aligned. The three suns are overlapping at one point in the sky. Plots from a view by one of all 2 moons. An absolute solar eclipse. Exciting about the eclipse coming up? I give a light jump when a voice chirrups from right behind me. I whirl around so quickly I almost end up entangled in my own cloak. What? Didn't mean to scare you there. Sorry about that. No, it's alright. I was just thinking about things. One of my neighbors, Agari, bumped down the block. She looks more jittery than usual. A string of saliva dripping down her mandibles as she also casts her gaze up towards the sky. Oh, it's so exciting, isn't it? Just 2 more days and it will be the eclipse. Are you thinking of doing anything special on that day, sweetie? I smile and shake my head. Nothing in particular. I'm just looking forward to seeing it. Oh, that's also nice. But you should really think hard, just in case there is something special you want to do on that day. Well, an absolute solar eclipse only occurs once every century or so. A rare event. I squint up at the sky. Perhaps because of that, people view it as an auspicious phenomenon. It's said that if you make an important life decision or attempt something new on the day of an absolute solar eclipse, the results are more likely to be favorable. I've never believed in such superstitions, but I know most of the city is looking forward to the eclipse. A lot of people propose to loved ones, explore new ideas, explore new areas, or change their jobs on eclipse day. As a result, I've heard it is considered something of a headache for the community organizers. We need to deal with the chaos. Still, the excitement building in the air is almost palpable. Regardless of my own beliefs, I don't see any reason to squelch anyone else's excitement. I look back to my neighbor. Do you have any plans for eclipse day, Agari? Oh, I do. She gives an excited shake, clasping her hands together. I'm going to visit my dear friend across town. We had read about 5 years ago and haven't spoken since. But we agreed to meet on eclipse day to talk things out, and I'm sure we'll be able to rekindle our friendship. Her genuine excitement is heartwarming. I can't help smiling as I give a nod. That sounds wonderful. I hope it goes well. Thank you, dear. Oh, but I shouldn't keep you for too long. You're on your way to work, aren't you? I nod again. It's alright. I always head out early. And it was nice hearing about your plans. Well, good luck on your work. And do think about something to do for our club's day. It would be such a shame to let the opportunity pass by you. I give her a small wave as I turn to leave, and she cheerily returns the gesture. But once I turn the corner, I speed up into a light gallop. Despite what I told her, I hurry a little. I like getting places a little earlier than necessary. That's a good viewpoint. I myself also like to go a little early. Not too early. Too early means that you have to wait for others a lot. Especially if you meet someone who's tend to be late. Then extra waiting. And it's always very early than being late, you know. Good morning, boss. The air in the salt processing plant stings on the nose, burning at the lungs a little with each breath, and I try not to inhale too deeply. Full-time workers here usually wear masks unless they happen to have well-developed nasal filters. Since I'm usually in and out of here quickly, I don't bother with masks.
Where's the mask?
My boss is pretty strict though. It's alright, boss. I'll be out of here pretty quick.
No, wear your mask. You need to wait a few moments.
He throws a mask into my hands before I can stop him, then turns away to a nearby table bow high with packages. I give a slightly exasperated sigh. How many times have we had this exact same exchange before? Although it's a good indicator of how much the boss cares for his workers, I guess. Sure, let's do it. Pocket mask or put on mask? Let's do put on mask, just for safeties. Might as well just put on a mask. It's a bit uncomfortable, especially where the filter brushes against the raw sections on my face, but it does immediately make breathing easier. As I adjust the mask strings, I take a cursory glance around the factory. It's a familiar sight, but its internal workings are always fascinating to watch. A chute at the far end of the room spells out spurts of salt crystals, spilling them into a huge vat. The steady hum of grinding and crunching sometimes seeps through the chute, like the sounds of many small bones being jolt up. On the other side of the chute is the machine that processes the raw salt, breaking up any larger rocks into these smaller crystals. The ground of salt needs to be processed further though. The grinding process doesn't get rid of any insects, rocks, or hair clumps that might be present in the raw salt rocks. Workers carry huge buckets of this unprocessed salt to the smaller vats that dot the cavernous room. These vats are constantly stirred with long bowls, processing the salt crystal through filters that will catch any unwanted material. The filters quickly clog up with hair and insect wings, and need to be swapped out frequently. One vat has a worker carefully adding an enormous bucket of flavoring into it. The scent of honey comes wafting through the air and I inhale deeply. The sweet slick of honey contrasts beautifully to the familiar, crisp sting of salt. Honey salt must be delicious. Maybe I'll get to splurge on it someday. But in order to do that, I need to work. What's my quota look like today? My voice comes out a little muffled past the mask.
A little more than usual.
I step to the table to help the boss load packages into a cloth bundle. Each packet is a block of salt wrapped tight in a piece of fabric. The fabric protects the salt from any moisture while it's in transit, and also catches any pieces that might crumble off. Most of the bundles are wrapped in cheap tan fabric. Those are packages of normal salt. But there are a few packages wrapped in red or yellow cloth, and even fewer wrapped in white cloth. The white ones are mercury, right? The boss runs in their affirmative. Mercury salt is such a rare treat that I don't deliver it often. That looks like more honey and punishment salt than usual too.
People getting excited about the eclipse, treating themselves.
Right, of course. The boss counts the packages one last time before tying the bundle shut and handing it over to me. There's the rustle of fabric and the crackle of blue salt crystals bumping into each other with each movement. The baggage weighs heavily in my hands. I tie the fabric tight over one shoulder so the bundle won't come loose or jostle around too much while I'm running.
And here's the route.
He hands me a scrap of paper with just a few notes jotted on it. I've long since memorized my route, and the people only knows any exceptions. Who doesn't need salt today? Who's getting special salt instead of the usual? Who's getting more baggages than normal? Usually I don't even need this cheat sheet, but there are a lot of exceptions today. It really does seem like everyone's changing things up in preparation for the eclipse. All the more reason to avoid making mistakes. I'll hate to deliver people the wrong salt and put a damper on the mood. Got it. Pocketing the note, I give the bundle one last tug with my hand to make sure it's in place before turning towards the door. Right before I push the door open, I remember to take my mask and hand it back to the boss. He gives a snort as he takes it back, waving a hand to shoo me out and on my way. As the heavy door lumbers shut, I hear him call out roughly,
Take care.
Just a tiny sliver of the plant's interior is visible past the closing door, and I give him a wave of the hand before turning back towards the street. Alright, time to begin my route. I've been delivering salt for several years now, though I was uncertain when an acquaintance first suggested the job to me. I've really warmed up to it since then. The workload is consistent and predictable. My boss is nice, they're a little gruff, and the neighborhoods I deliver to are full of friendly people. Hey, starting the route for today? Yep, have a good morning. You too. Oh, so we are not human. Are we a canine or something? My hind claws dig a little into the ground, kicking up small clumps of dirt with each step. I quickly fall into a comfortable, galloping gait as I take a hard left outside the salt processing plant and start heading down the street. Huge slabs of buildings loom overhead on both sides. This block doesn't have many residents as it's mostly factories. I pass by those quickly. No deliveries to make just yet. But I do have one delivery to make at the corner up ahead. The building at the very end of the block is smaller. Its outer walls are white instead of a murky beige. It's not very tall either, but it does have an awesome structure sprouting from its top. A giant tower clawing up towards the sky, made of bone and coated with smooth flesh. An enormous pair of antennae protrude from the tip of the tower, their chitinous shells gleaming faintly in the sunlight. They whip back and forth at random intervals as if breaking through the air. The numerous eyeballs at the antennae's base also blink frequently. There is a squabbling about to survey their surroundings. One of them swirls around to look me over when I approach, and I give it a small wave. Let's see, what does is describe? Okay, you actually can see it. It's on the right side. At the far away, the highest building, you can see the pointing thing like an antenna and eyes on it. So that should be what they are describing. The front entrance to the building has a small sign carved into it. The sign reads, Community Overlook Center. I open the door and enter. The office interior is much cozier, the air clean and warm. There are a few desks littered with papers, workers busily reading over their contents and filling out other forms. This place always looks busy when I come by, never hectic though. Despite the steady bustle of productivity, things always seem in control. Not that I know these workers very well. I do wave to a vaguely familiar face, but head straight to the far corner where the power control box sits. Let's see, their interior. It looks pretty spooky and dirty and red. I can see a lot of redness around the place. I'm not sure if that's jelly or something or blood, but it looks not good. The boss nerves crawl up to the walls like a giant spiderweb. Thick keepers of flesh burrowing into the smooth rock surface. The bot himself is a giant olive shape, coated in flesh and pulsing gently. The eyeballs embedded in its surface flicker about more languishly. A few of them fix on me as I approach, though they close quickly after a few moments of staring. They probably don't want to get squished when the bot opens. There's the loud switch up of fluid stick flesh when the bot splits open at the center. Its two halves neatly sliding apart like a beetle's carapace. I'm not sure what is a beetle's carapace, but sure. A wall of hot, dim air bursts outward as the bot opens. The interior of the bot is oozing with fluid. Drips of it spilling out to dot the floor. A thick coating of it obscures the shape of a person sitting inside until he sits up and stretches his arms. Fluid comes sloughing off in sheets, spilling back into the bot's interior as he rises to his feet. There's the wet blast of suction as he detached the bot's nerve cables attached to his temples. Hi, Esther. Is that a good pronunciation? Iesto or Yesto? I'm going to continue calling Iesto. Iesto towers over me when he straightens up to his full height, the bones of his feet clicking gracefully on the floor when he steps out of the bot. Good morning, Bill. He always talks gently, his voice low. It's a little hard making out what he's saying if the office is ever really busy, but it does make him sound very reassuring, especially when he smiles a little. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll have a really, really bright smile with his teeth like that. Very wide smile. Diligent as ever, I see. Yesto leads the way to a table nearby. It's far enough from the bot that there isn't any danger of fluid splashback, which is good. Salt doesn't hold up well to anything wet, and I have a lot of salt to drop up here. My bundle's heavy from the day's worth of salt, and I'm looking forward to lightening it significantly. I start doing the fabric knot to put the bundle down on the table. How's things looking today? He gives a small sign at that. Just a warm puff of air that escapes past Chitina's lips. I haven't spotted any real troublemakers, but there's certainly a buzz in the air. There does seem to be a little crowd congregating just north of here, so I might have to send someone to check it out later. Hopefully it's just a friendly gathering, so I can leave it be. I'll hate to have to get anyone in trouble just before the eclipse. Okay, so you can see this is a set of action. Suggest action, not sympathetically or agree with leniency. So this is a set of actions that will choose the suitors we will end up with. I'm pretty sure other suitors will have these choices like this, that raise their maybe affection or something like that. I'm not sure which is a good choice, but let's choose the not sympathetically because I'm feeling it. I don't fully understand Iesto's job, so all he can do is offer sympathy. It does sound like the situation could go either way. Hopefully it won't cause too much trouble for you, no matter the outcome. Thanks, Phil. It should be alright. Oh, he's smiling. I'll just keep a few eyes on them for a while. Iesto's job seems busy at the best of times, and I can imagine it only grows more difficult during times of excitement, like around the eclipse. There aren't very many people who can handle the pressure of being the town's overlook, especially since the overlook bot is apparently a strain to operate. but Iesto's been loved by everyone since he took the job. Highly attentive and quick to respond, he's been key in maintaining the town's peace because he's able to spot troublemakers so quickly and send officials to stop them before too much damage is done. He's done a lot to discourage crime. That on top of being an all-around nice guy. Ah, cute. I also really like his hair. The fabric finally comes undone, and I settle it on the table before digging through my pocket for the note. Alright, it says here that you need 24 packets of soap today, correct? Correct. 24 then. Iesto doesn't eat the 24 packets of soap for himself, of course. As the community overlook, he's also in charge of keeping an eye out for people who are ill or injured or have fallen on hard times. Anyone who might have difficulty procuring their own soap. These 24 packets will be distributed to such people. That's a little more than usual, right? Is the eclipse causing any trouble? I laid out the soap packets and stacks of 4. In a sense. Iesto gives a slightly sheepish laugh. It's not trouble, but I wanted to ensure that people aren't struggling for soap during a time as joyous as the eclipse. I'll be giving out a little extra to people who are having a hard time. My heart warms with admiration. That's really nice of you. I'm sure they'll really appreciate it. 6 stacks of 4. 24 packets of soap laid neatly on the table, and I made sure Iesto's given it an approving nod before tying my bundle back over my shoulder. Speaking of the eclipse, do you have any plans? Everyone's so excited about the eclipse. I shake my head. Not really. I might go out to watch it, I guess. Iesto laughs gently. He has a raspy laugh, in contrast to his gluten voice. You sound awfully unimpressed by the eclipse. I guess I'm just pretty satisfied with where I am right now. I know the eclipse is supposed to be good luck if you're making any big decisions, but I don't have any decisions to make. I shift the bundle on my shoulder, and it comes out like a shirt. Maybe I try taking a different route on my delivery that day. I'll find a shortcut. That would be nice. It would make your life a little easier, I suppose. Do you have any plans? There's a pause. Iesto looks thoughtful, a finger tapping at his chin before his lips curved in a smile. I might. I'm still deciding. But you know, Bill. Iesto reaches out to touch my shoulder. Despite the hard burns of his fingers, the gesture is soft and comforting, squeezing just briefly before giving a tender pat and then pulling away. The eclipse really is a special time, not just because of the eclipse itself, but because everyone is so excited and happy. I don't think it would be a bad idea to take advantage of that unique energy in the air. I give a small smile. Alright, I'll give it some thought. Iesto sees me off. Is it alright for you to leave your bot for so long? It's alright for a few minutes. Taking short breaks helps keep my mind clear. Don't work yourself too hard. Even if everyone's dependent on you, you shouldn't run yourself ragged. Thanks, you too. I grin. Don't worry, you help me a lot by taking so much soap off my hands. My role's always easier after I've visited you. Iesto raps out a laugh. Well, I'm glad I could be of help to you, though I should be the one thanking you for your work all the time. Alright, I'll see you later, Iesto. Take care, Bill. Iesto waits as I start off at a light jog. I wait back. The overlook tower is docile without him in the cockpit. Their towering antennae and mound of flesh just barely quivering. It's strange to see it so calm, which says a lot about how much I'm grown used to Yester's constant presence, keeping an eye on the city. He's a good guy. I hope he gets a day off sometime. He could probably use it. It only takes me a few pieces to hit my stride, my posture lowering as I transition into my usual gallop. With that big delivery out of the way, the rest of the route are smaller deliveries, no problem. Here you go.
Thanks. Work is over, aren't you?
Just trying to be on time. Have a nice day.
You too, Bill.
Most deliveries go quickly. Just 1 or 2 salt buckets to drop off along with a free feeding. For people who aren't at home, I have to drop their salt into the usual delivery box out and in front of the door. It's nicer doing personal delivery since I like saying a brief hello to my clients, but it can't be helped. People have things to do.
Thanks, Paul.
Honey salt, huh? Planning on doing something special for the eclipse?
Yep, thinking of throwing a bit of a party.
Glad I could get you some salt safely then.
I appreciate it. You'll be careful on your route now, you hear?
We do. Everyone seems happy. It's nice. It's a nice day. My next delivery is a few blocks away, but I can cut through the bark. The ground's a little wetter here. The dirt solid beneath my feet instead of kicking it up into little bumps. My claws dig small grooves with each step, no doubt leaving a little line of tick marks to signal where I've been. They'll probably be trampled flat during the day, only to repeat the next day. The paths in the park are flanked by trees, the gnarled branches reaching haphazardly up and outwards, as if they're also looking forward to the eclipse. Small insects lay nestled at the bark, their wings shimmering like water droplets each time they flit around. A few of them chitter at each other, set to the backdrop of crows shouting. Somewhere further away, there's the quiet drone of some sort of factory belching long streamers of smoke. It's nice here. The atmosphere is great. I really like getting to cut through the bark. I'm so distracted that I don't hear the sound of footsteps approaching. Rapidly.
Bill!
Hello, Mr. Wolf. I guess. A boisterous billow of fur and energy comes bursting out of the foliage directly to my right. I jump almost 2 feet in the air.
Hi, Bill!
Bratton stinks out sweat and dirt. His fur's matted darkened spots, plastered out in strange directions from dry fluids, and there's a glob of something fleshy stuck to his jaw. Hey, Bratton, been out all night?
Yeah, we were exploring out west for since we smell a lot of salt. Never found anything yet, though.
I'm sure you'll find it soon. You guys are really good at your jobs. Bratton beams at me, tail wagging side to side and knocking around some innocent sapling branches. Bratton works as a salt scout. Salt scouts search the flush fields outside of the city in search of broad salt pools. These pools are where we harvest the raw salt for processing at the plant, then distributing out to people. An important job. In other words, salt scouts depend on the sense of smell or sensitivity to changes in the air to seek out the signature sting of salt. So apparently many of them don't mind working during the night when visibility is poor. It's not unusual to see a salt scout heading home in the morning, dirty from a long night of exploring.
Anyway,
even after a night of what must have been exhausting work, Bratton toss out her boisterous crew.
I thought I smelled you was salt, so I figure I'll catch you now. If I pick up my soap from you here, it'll make the route a little easier, right?
A smile tugs on my face. Bratton looks terribly proud of his innovative thought.
I see.
Say you wouldn't want Bratton to wear himself out. Says it's a good thing you didn't miss each other. Say helps a lot.
So I usually ask earlier. I don't know which answer is good, but I will choose what I think is good, since it helps a lot.
There's no way I can squelch that surge of enthusiasm.
He's like a giant puppy. Technically he is.
Thanks, it helps a lot. Not really. My route takes me past Button's house anyway, but I won't tell him that. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Button gives a wide smile, showing off every single one of his sharp teeth.
No problem.
It's awfully endearing. Well, let me check what your delivery for today is.
Just the usual for me.
He bows out before I can double check my notes, so I nod as I shove the bundle on my shoulder to pull out his usual delivery. 2 bags of regular salt. Bratton tends to eat a bit more than average. Understandable, with how much time he spends moving around.
By the way,
he sounds excited. I bet he's going to talk about the eclipse.
Do you have any plans for the eclipse?
The swinging of his tail has grown ferocious, batting a branch aside with enough gusto to snap it in half. What?
Okay. Did his tail turn into a fan?
Not really.
Everyone seems so excited for the eclipse, which I suppose is the normal reaction. It's probably weirder that I'm more laid back about it, but that's just my nature. Besides, it makes me happy enough just seeing other people being so excited. Their feelings are infectious. Ah, really? Come on, you should leave a little.
Bratton's enormous paw claws on my back, making me stumble forward a step. 1 or 2 salt baskets spill from my bundle, but he catches them before they hit the ground.
Whoops, sorry about that.
It's alright. I put those packets away and managed to extract 2 packets of regular salt in the process. Here you go, they're usual for you.
Thanks, Will.
For a moment, Bratton sounds like he's about to ask something, but stops himself. I don't brat, just readjusting my bundle. Sure enough, he shifts his weight from one foot to the other for a few moments in a nervous fidget before speaking up again.
Hey, you should really consider doing something for the eclipse.
Well, it's not that I'm against doing anything, but I guess I just don't have any plans.
So you'll be up for doing something adventurous?
Bratton blurts that out loudly enough to startle off a crow overhead, and I can't help being curious. Maybe?
Cool.
There's a pause before he hurries to add.
Not that I have anything planned or anything. I was just asking. But you never know what might come up, is what I'm saying.
I have to fight back a grin. Bratton isn't good at being subtle. I guess you're right.
Knowing Bratton, maybe he'll teach me about some hidden location to build the eclipse farm. He knows this area like the back of his hand, thanks to his job. This shortcut through the park is also something he taught me about, so I'll actually be really happy if he taught me about a strange new location to visit during the eclipse. It might be a nice change of pace. Anyway, I'll let you get back to your job.
Bratton's stifling a yawn as he says that. Even his endless energy must be running low after working all night. Sure, you should go get some rest.
Will do.
There's no warning before Bratton leans in to lick my face, his tongue dragging all the way up from my chin to my brow and leaving a sticky trail of drool in his wake. A very more sign of affection, like a dog. I guess it says affection, huh? But Bill will need to wash the face from that drool though. Do good on your job, and I'll see you tomorrow. And with that, Bratton's on his way. I wave as Bratton makes his loud exit, crushing his way through some defenseless bushes and leaving a trail of trampled ground in his wake. He waves back as he turns a corner around a prickly bush up ahead, then vanishes from view. It's only then that I raise a hand to my face,
considering wiping away the damn dress lingering on my face.
I end up just leaving it be. It's not a big deal after all. And my face gets strapped from running against the wind all day. A sheen aspect suits the raw skin a little bit.
Okay, or they'll leave that on, I guess.
So after one last check on my bundle to make sure it's secure, I turn my attention back to the bath through the bark.
I never thought that someone's saliva could be a good use of moisturizer, I guess. Oh my god.
Time to get back to work. Here you go.
Thanks, Bill. You're always right on time. I really appreciate it. It's nicer to get my soap directly from you instead of my box, you know.
I understand. I'm glad I could get it to you too.
You're such a good kid. You take care of it.
Will do, sir.
The route grows easier towards the end of the day as my bundle grows even lighter. I have to stop to tie it tighter over my shoulder, making sure the excess fabric doesn't billow and flap around too much as I run. The deliveries go smoothly. Everyone seems to be in a pretty good mood, and one client gives me a cup of water to get me going. Though I don't need the water, it's still a nice energy boost, and I thank her for it before continuing on my way. One block has 5 houses in a row that need deliveries. One house is occupied and I get to hand the soap to my client directly, but the other 4 are empty, so I leave the soap in the boxes. Maybe they're off at work, or maybe they're making preparations for their clubs. Hopefully I can say hi to them tomorrow at least. That block done, I jog to the end of the street to the corner, but the sound of screaming catches my attention. Looking up, I catch sight of a small crowd a few blocks down. It takes me a moment of squinting to realize what it is. A punishment soap bath. Oh.
There's a giant metal tub placed on the ground, flanked on either side by an overlook officer. And inside the tub, salt, and a person, a criminal. Each overlook officer is holding a capture ball. The ones at the end strung taut around the criminal's limbs, keeping them firmly in the salt bath. Even from this distance, I can make out patches of raw, wet flesh, areas where the criminal's skin has been flayed off to expose them to the salt. No doubt the salt in the bath is starting to stain red and clumps together from the blood and fluids. My mouth waters a little from the thought.
Huh? Why is your mouth waters from that?
These punishment soap baths serve a dual function. On the one hand, this is a pretty good punishment. Though larger crimes earn harsher punishments, first-time offenders are usually only given a soap bath. The pain of having raw flesh exposed to salt is usually enough of a deterrent to keep people from repeating their mistakes in the future. And on the other hand, the salt used in these punishments is a bit of a delicacy. Though not as fresh as honey or mercury salt, punishment of salt has a savory tang to it that almost everyone enjoys. Just enough blood gets mixed into the salt to give it a unique flavor and take off some of the harsh edge to the original salt taste.
Okay, so you punish criminals in that and you also use the salt to eat? Okay, that's an acquired taste, I guess. Then again, I shouldn't question the reference of everyone in this world.
I've probably seen a bunch of punishment salt to be delivered tomorrow. Maybe I'll plan a package or 2 for myself. Everyone's talking about their class after all. Maybe I can treat myself. Whoever's immersed in the salt gives a gurgling scream. Sunlight cleans right off the salt tub. I'm rather not stay to watch that gruesome scene, so let's get back to work. As interesting as this is, I think it would be best to get back to work.
I turn my attention back to the streets ahead. The officers are grunting something at the criminal, but I ignore it. Even if the smell of blood and salt in the air is tantalizing, I take 1, 2, 3 quick steps and launch into a steady trot. I'm still on the job, so I shouldn't lose my focus. I've managed to drag my toes away from that soapbox by the time I reach the end of the block. I'm at the tail end of my run, and with almost nothing left in my bundle. Each step feels right. I drop 2 soap packages into a delivery box before rounding the corner. Immediately, there is a unique sweetness in the air. Without thinking, I raise my head to inhale deeply. Even if I'm deeply familiar with the smell, it's still incessant. One can't help but breathe in deeper inhales around this area, and there's always a few people loitering around. Up ahead is the bee store. Ooh, bees! Giant bees though. They look fluffy, but giant. A small bone jumps above the door rattles as I enter. The cages before me buzz in response. The air inside the store is already dazzling sweet, but the heaty scent intensifies for a moment, and I utterly lose my train of thought. Standing before the entrance, I just focus on taking 1, 2, 3 deep breaths, each lungful making me feel more languid. You're here, huh? It's a rough voice shouting from further inside the store that snaps me back to attention. And hi everyone, this is another suitor. So as you can see, the suitors that hangs a bit longer to talk with us is the one. So first we have a humanoid one, more humanoid one, very handsome, and we have Mr. kind of werewolf inside, I think. Werewolf, and the second one, and this Aquates, the third one. Hey, yeah. What? I'm not sure if how to pronounce that. Yak, yak. Okay, I'm just winging it. I have your salt. Yak stand before. Nyak. Nyok stands between 2 tall rounds of cages, making notes on a scrap of paper, probably taking notes on the condition of his bees. As I make my way down the aisle, the cages around me buzz happily. Okay, we see the bees. Each cage contains a large fat bee. Some are shy and turn away as I walk by, but others are more personable and bubble up to the front of the cage to poke their antennae through the bars and wiggle them at me. One cage contains a particularly fluffy bee that waggles its abdomen at me as I approach. I have bathed this one before, so it's familiar with me. When I pause to poke my fingers through the bars of its cage, it toddles closer and ducks its head so I can rub the area behind its head, right where the bristly fur starts to sprout. I bat it a few times, rubbing my fingers in short strokes, and it hums happily in response, flicking its wings. Honey dribbles from his mandibles, leaving damp yellow spots on the batting in the cage. Hey there, you're not supposed to be wasting honey like that. Don't blame my bees for that. I'm not sure if how to voice that stuff. They did mention a gruff voice, so which I'm not sure which makes a good gruff voice, so you will be hearing kind of different voices for Nyok. Don't blame my bee for that. You're the one who made her rule. Nyok must have finished taking his snooze because he's made his way down the aisle towards me. The bulk of his body towers over me, leaning over to be onto the cage where the bee is rubbing at its mandibles with its frontmost legs. My girls have had to work hard these days. You shouldn't agitate them. Oh, right, sorry. You're fine. Just don't excite them too much. Got it. The bee continues to wash its way off, antennae flicking periodically. Because of the eclipse, huh? Yeah.
Not surprising. Bees are highly prized by the honey. Everyone loves honey salt after all. Nyak's store sells both bees and honey. Bees are expensive, both to buy and to care for, so not many people can afford to buy one. But saving up to buy some honey for special occasions is much more doable. Maybe I can do that actually, since I don't have any other plans for the eclipse. Hey Nyak. Do you have any plans for the eclipse?
No.
Also not surprising, Nyak is the type who largely keeps to himself.
But I suppose the eclipse should be nice to watch.
Right? I'm thinking the same thing. Maybe just take a relaxing break watching it happen.
Sounds ideal.
I think I should buy some honey for the occasion.
I do have a few bottles left for today.
Jokingly ask if you can work for a discount. Ask to put a bottle on hold. Say you're considering buying some. Nyak would probably be happy as if I honestly said what's on my mind. You know, I don't do it often, but I was considering picking up a bottle, since it's a special occasion and all.
Do you want one now?
Not now. I don't carry my wallet with me on my route. Maybe tomorrow?
I might sell out tomorrow. But I'll set a bottle aside for you tomorrow if you want.
That'd be great, thanks. Nyak only grunts in response, but some of his lips quirk a little. I think he's pleased.
Yeah, he's pleased alright.
The bone jump on the door rattles as another customer enters, and I give Nyak a quick wave. I better go, Ashley, but I'll see you tomorrow. Nyak runs again, already turning towards his new customers. I give the bees a little wave too. They buzz back at me, the sweet scent of honey in the air intensifying in that moment. I almost stumble as I turn towards the door, inhaling deeply one last time before stepping outside. My head clears immediately. The air just outside is still sweet, but it's nothing compared to the intensity inside the store. Outside, a few people peer into the window, looking at the bees on display there.
It smells so good here, doesn't it? Wanna go inside?
Nah, I don't wanna run into the owner guy.
Why? What's wrong with the owner?
I was about to resume my round, but I paused, pretending to adjust the fabric tie over my shoulder. Not that that's even necessary. The strangers don't pay me any attention.
I heard he doesn't eat much salt.
So what?
But he is something else other than salt.
What? I roll my eyes a little.
Nobody knows, but it's not normal to eat so little salt, you know. And my friend said he once went into the store and they saw him eating one of the bees. Hers.
I've heard all that I care to hear, so I finished adjusting my bag and set off at a steady gallop. There are a few weird rumors about New York floating around, and though I once interrupted some gossipy customers, Nyak told me not to bother in the future, and he doesn't care what other people say. Still, it irks me that people bother making up these silly rumors about people just because they're different. And Nyak is a good guy. When I get home, I'll look through my savings to make sure I have enough to buy a little bottle of honey. He seemed pleased by my promise to buy a bottle after all.
Thanks, Bill. I was worried you might be late since they seem so hectic today.
I'm glad I didn't keep you waiting.
You always work so hard, so I know I can count on you. But don't work yourself too hard, you hear? Just sure you give yourself some time off on the eclipse.
I'll do that, don't you worry. I wait to the last of my customers for the day, sighing quietly as I turn the corner back onto the main street. The empty bag over my shoulders gets folded up into a little cloth bundle I can fit into my pocket. I'll drop this off tomorrow morning while picking up my suit, so my work for today is done.
It's not too late when I get back home, but I feel tired nonetheless. Maybe it's the atmosphere. Though the walk back home had been uneventful, the spark in the air had still been present. It had been like trying to wade through a shallow pool of water. The energy splashing up one's skin in thin sheets with each little conversation with a passerby. Everyone had seemed genuinely excited, and I was happy for them, truly. But now that I'm in my room, alone, I can't help wondering if it's really fine for me to have no plans at all for the eclipse. I opened the window and leaned out it as I drew on a block of salt, feeling each bite sting at my gums. Outside, the two moons glow past a gossamer curtain of clouds. They infused the night sky with a gentle light, warding up the complete darkness, and I bask in the cold light as I reflect on the day's events. All of my customers had such different expectations for the eclipse. It sounded like Iesto had something in mind. Same for Breton. I guess Nord doesn't have any plans, but he has to work hard leading up to the eclipse. I finished my salt, dusting my hands up outside and closed the window as I retreat back into my room. Well, I guess it's kind of late to be making any big decisions anyway. And the belief that the eclipse will herald anything good is just superstition. It's a little early to be sleeping, but the day's been really exhausting and I can feel sleep rolling in like a blanket of fog, steadily clouding through my head. As I sink back into my bed and stare up at the ceiling, I eagerly consider tomorrow's route. I guess I'm gonna be pretty busy tomorrow too. Though I start going over tomorrow's route in my head, I can feel my thoughts rapidly clouding over. I'll just deal with things as they happen, I guess. And that should be a good pause for our playthrough today. So, starting off, we have the prologue, even though it doesn't mention the prologue, but it introduced really good the suitors that we will be ruling, or not ruling, getting closer to in our game. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the Overlooker, Iesto, we have the Warwolf, kind of, Warwolf, Breton, the Shop Seeker, and the shop owner, sir with many mouths, Nork. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but I try my best. So we will be choosing one of these suitors to get to know them, and it's pretty interesting so far. I actually really, it's a different experience from the game's other visual novel otome that I have played, since it's mostly not too much word, like not too much descriptions, and there's a lot of sprites about to look at. But this one is mostly the background is in the background, and we have a lot of words. But I like the writing though. Their descriptions are very nice. It's like I'm reading through a book of fan fiction or something like that, except with maybe interactive fiction in a sense. But instead of the normal interactive fiction that have mostly words and not images that I have read before, this one has images, so it's a bit different. I think it's close enough. I really like the writing. It's very nice. The suitors are very unique and very acquired taste. I'm interested in Iesto's first, so I'm going to go for him first, and maybe Breton, and then lastly Nord is, I guess that will be in the order of the suitors we met, and hopefully we have a nice romance with them, hopefully, since we did see some warning over there, and that's concerning. Oh right, I like the word building. It's an interesting word. People ate salt for survival and healing and stuff. They didn't mention the currency people used to get salt. but mostly it's a strange word. I don't see any humans so far, since our protagonist is not human at all. So mostly monster-like being. And there's a lot of variety too, so it's really interesting. Anyway, that should be it for Beating in the Flesh. I'll see you on the next playthrough of the game, and bye bye!